Live from the sewers, this is the Turtle Power Podcast.
This is your audio source for all the news, reviews, and insight into the world of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Now join your hosts, Brian, Alex, and Darby.
Bossa Nova!
Yeah? Bossa Nova?
Chevy Nova? Excellent! Yeah!
Now it's time for the Turtle Power Podcast.
I strike two on my way down. Donatello takes out a third with his staff. Already the pudgy ones are starting to panic. Raph loves this stuff. He's not alone.
Why is he narrating? Is he crazy? Hardcore crazy.
I love these guys!
Easily the brightest shining light in the world of TMNT has been in comics. It's been that way for several years now. So just wanted to quickly mention I did receive my Drawing Blood and radically rearranged Ronin ragdolls from the Kickstarter. I think that was the last time we had Kevin on the show. My copy had it was all signed by all three of the both Kevin Eastman, David Avalone, and Ben Bishop. All three of them signed it, so that was nice. And got the bonus RRRR. That's funny that they calling it that. But that was the little bonus issue that came with it. So like the in-universe comic. Haven't had a chance to read it yet, but it looks really good. Some major comic releases this month that we just had come out. The TMNT 2020, IDW 2020. So this is celebrating IDW's 20th anniversary. So they're doing, I think they did a Ghostbusters 2020. Now it's the Turtles 2020. It's basically the Turtles 20 years in the future. So this came out, I think it was the 2nd of January. And it basically says, meet the Turtles of tomorrow in this adventure set 20 years in the future. The Utrom Civil War rages across Earth. When news of a backup Technodrome threatens hundreds of millions of innocent lives, it's up to the Turtles to do what they do best, save the world. I did see one little bit of it's not really that big of a deal, but I guess I can put a little spoiler alert on here. So just go forward like 30 seconds. Apparently, Michelangelo becomes the leader in this series. So so that's kind of interesting. Next one is, we talked about this when it was first announced, and issue 1 just released last week. Shredder in Hell #1. So from the great Matteo Santaloco. Am I saying that right? Please. Yep. Okay. Fantastic. Abandon all hope. The Shredder returns in this brand new miniseries. Orokusaki's death is just the beginning, and his journey through the depths of the underworld proves to be anything but a divine comedy. How much of Shredder's soul will remain after he's faced the horrors of hell? One thing I got to mention too is that there are like 14 covers for this release. You can always kind of tell how important a release is based on how many covers there are. This has got
how many
14.
variants, yeah.
Yeah, how many variant covers, and this one's got 14, so it's kind of a big deal. And some of them are absolutely fantastic. There's actually one from Peter Laird in there. So,
yep.
So let's see. So those are both out. I did want to mention that the Free Comic Book Day Turtles comic has been revealed. They are going to have one this year. That's going to be May 4th. This year, it's always that like first week of May, and so this year it's on May 4th. It's going to be called Casualty of War. So that's an interesting name. Yep. Does that mean that that we might be losing somebody? Possible death.
Here's what's weird about that too is usually for free comic book day, it's usually not like like an important piece.
Yeah, usually it's kind of like almost like a recap of previous things that have been going. It'll be like some kind of exposition where, like, if it's the Turtles, then they'd be like sitting on a rooftop and be like, man, can you believe when that happened and that happened? And then they'll kind of show some or it'll be something tied into the current TV series. Right.
They've done that before too. This has got me super intrigued.
Yeah.
I've never been like you always go to Free Comic Book Day because it's a free comic book, obviously, but it's also fun, like just to be around the people and just people who enjoy everything as well. This has me excited for all sorts of other reasons. Like, this is important.
Yeah.
This is actually an important piece, and that's rare. So I have to imagine that these are going to go quick.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, this is all part of the road to 100. Mm-hmm. So I'll read the quick synopsis here. New York City has just erupted into war as Splinter battles Karai for control of the Foot Clan, with the Turtles caught in the middle. Find out how the Turtles got to this point as they battle some of their fiercest foes in this special Free Comic Book Day offering. So it does sound like it's going to have a little bit of the how did we get to this point, but it also sounds like there's going to be some stuff that happens in this book. So
the name alone, Casualty of War, is just like,
yeah,
okay, there's a casualty of war. Like, who's the casualty?
So we actually had one of our listeners, Kelly, wrote in and said, if they kill any of the Turtles, I'm dropping the comic. It was bad enough adding the dumb comic relief dinosaur and having Michelangelo making poop jokes a while back. The IDW comic has been overall really good, but I wish it would echo more of the dark and gritty Turtles from the good old days of the black and white comic, the Mirage comic. Sure. Leave the lame jokes and comedy stuff to the kids stuff. So... I
can appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, it's so dark, though. You need a little bit of comic relief occasionally, and it's not too outside of the norm for Michelangelo to make a stupid joke.
I think that mixes. I mean, that's his character. Yeah, that's his shtick. That's I would say that We've got all these different versions of all these, it's the whole thing. I have to make it my own. But I would say that is one thing that's pretty much remained the same across all the different variants of Turtles, is that Mike's the jokester, right? He's the one who makes the jokes.
Yeah. I think the two that have been the least tainted are Mikey and Donnie. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think our two favorites, people have a little bit more liberty with.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I don't know why.
That's true.
But
yeah, that's true. There's Donnie's
because
the techie. Donnie's the techie, and Mikey's the jokester, and then Raph and Leo, you're like, let's. Yeah, it's not as black and white there, so let's.
Well, I think it's easier to play off of them because they're already kind of like rivals of each other.
Yeah. And
Raph, although he said he doesn't want to be leader, kind of still wants to be leader. Leo obviously wants to be leader. And they're more polarizing, I think, because they're so complete opposite of each other that it's easier to flip-flop them in some occasions. But yeah, that's kind of interesting to me because I never even thought of that until you mentioned it. But Mikey and Donnie seem to be the two that nobody really messes with too much in every series, like, ever, for the most part.
That'll be the next animated series. It'll be Raph is actually the techie, Donnie is the leader,
Can you imagine,
Leo's the
can you
jokes
imagine
there.
Darby? Can you imagine Darby if they fuck with Donnie? Like,
And
it's
Mike will be I don't know. He'll be the one roid raging. Yeah, I think that's what it'll be. Yeah.
yeah, Mikey hits puberty. And yeah. Yeah, but I think the comic relief is necessary in a dark series. I think I get the poop jokes is a little much, and the additional comic relief may be a little too much. But I don't think it's, considering the series as a whole, man. Like, it's a little break in the seriousness, which is okay. As long as it's not long-standing, like it's not consistent, and they don't beat it to the ground. And that's one of the things that this series does well, is they don't beat things like that to the ground. I feel like they have, like, I don't know how they just, it's so well written and so well published that it's a perfect balance.
Yeah.
So
it's all about that balance. Really quickly go over the release schedule. Of course, you can always head over to TMNT-NinjaTurtles.com for the latest updates on the TMNT release schedule. But for IDW, we've got 89. Issue 89 is out now. Issue 90 is going to be coming out January 23rd, and issue 91 February 13th. The Macro series, all 4 Turtles issues are out now. IDW 2020 out now. We just mentioned that. Shredder in Hell #1 out now. That's, of course, #1 of 5. And #2 is going to be coming out February 20th. Rise of the TMNT, the IDW, this is replacing the Adventures. #3 is out now. #4, January 23rd. #5, February 13th. On the Mirage front, the Ultimate Collection Volume 7 has been delayed to March 6th, but I do have that pre-ordered. Tales of the TMNT, no update yet on their Volume 9, which will be collecting Tales Volume 2 from Mirage, which is issues 26 through 30. So that's delayed without a new release date, so stay tuned. On the Old Image Volume 3, #8 is out now. #9 is coming January 30th. That's the reprints listed as Urban Legends. Remember, there's 23 issues there, so, and there will also be a 3-issue story arc to finish off. On the Dark Horse side, I did get my Usagi Yojimbo TMNT complete collection trade paperback. I did get that in the mail yet. And I haven't had a chance to read it yet, though. Gosh, there's just so much. The Art of TMNT, the hardcore from it's going to be released by Dark Horse. This is the Ciro Nieli book. This is going to be available May 29th. And there is I don't know if it's just an intro by Kevin Eastman or I'm not sure. It lists his name as part of the release, but I'm not sure how much he's involved in the book itself. From all I've been told, this is basically Ciro's book. And then on the Archie front, we did just have the final TMNT Adventures reprint. This is volume 16. And that collects issues 67 through 72 from the original TMNT Archie Adventures. And that just released. And so all of the Archie Adventures releases have been reprinted now by IDW. The only thing I think that they missed was maybe some of the seasonal and, of course, the Mighty Mutanimals and like some like the there's like some April specials and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see if those make it out or not. But that's it for comic book news. And let's move on to some movie news.
Yeah. Okay, so the first piece is the only real important movie news. So I'm so excited for this, man.
Right. So now, do you have a vinyl?
I do.
You do? Really?
Yeah, I have a record player. Yeah.
Oh, a record player. Yes.
Yeah, I went through a hipster phase, right? Where it's just like, oh my god, I love fair trade coffee and like flannel.
No, you didn't.
And vinyl.
You did not. Is this an original old school one, or is this a new one?
No, I did get a new one. I used to have an old school one. I had to get a new one.
I had an old school one too when I was a kid.
Yeah, well, I mean, into my introductory years of an adult, I had a record player, but like one of the old school ones. But this, I got a new one, and I got it. I think it's like two. I've had it for like 2 years. So I always go to all these little antique shops and all these like pawn shops and look for like old vinyl, and sometimes you just shop by the art as opposed to like how good the music is, because some of the art on these vinyl covers is so cool and so unique. As soon as I saw the vinyl art, so we're talking about the Waxwork Records. They're releasing a deluxe vinyl of the 1990 TMNT original score.
Yep,
from
it's
the
out
original
now.
motion picture. Yep, and it's. I mean, I think for what it is, it's two vinyls, right? Two pieces, or do they come in two different colors?
It's two.
It's two for $40. I think that's actually not a bad deal, considering not so much for the score itself, because although the score I think is phenomenal, I think the art is just so amazing, dude.
Yeah,
that's why I'm interested in it. I don't know why they went with orange.
Well, there was different color combos that you can do. So there was a Leonardo, there was a Raphael, there was a Donatello. This is the Michelangelo. You can also get a Master Splinter, which is brown and gray. You can do an April O'Neil, which is yellow and pink. Or you can do a Casey Jones, which is blue and white. Okay,
see, that didn't load on my end, so I didn't see that.
There was a Foot Clan one, which is black and red as well.
Yeah, that's kind of boring. But okay, so that's even better, that you can personalize your vinyl based on your favorite turtle.
Yeah.
Like, that's by far
I think the orange and green, I think the Michelangelo one is kind of like their standard one.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Yeah, but yeah, the artwork, so it's a Kevin Eastman piece on the front and on the back. The back is basically it's one of the final shots of the movie when they're all up, after they defeat the Shredder. But this is Kevin Eastman kind of doing the drawing instead. Yeah, it's you're right. It is fantastic. So basically, yeah, you get the score, you get the artwork, you get the two colored vinyls, poster as well. There's a poster and plus a reproduction of the movie poster. In a postcard frame,
right
format. So the poster is awesome as well.
The poster looks awesome, and it just looks like graffiti that you'd find in New York City in the 90s, like on some random wall.
Yeah, and they actually have some alternative mixes in here as well. So some stuff that didn't even quite make the film. So yeah, it's. Everything I've heard about this has been an absolute success. So, and I would not be surprised to see a number 2 to come out as well. So,
yeah.
Next story I wanted to mention was. Does
it even matter? Does any other movie news even matter at this point?
It's true. It doesn't. I'll just mention it really quick. So our. My buddy down the street who doesn't know that I'm alive. My neighbor Zach Ryder said that both he, Daniel Bryan, and Kurt Hawkins, of course Zach and Kurt Hawkins both host the major wrestling figure podcast. I can't remember the full name, but anyway, it's a podcast based on the WWE action figures, and they both plus Daniel Bryan all auditioned for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the 2016 Out of the Shadows, and of course it ended up going to Sheamus. But apparently they wanted a wrestler for the role, so I think it makes sense that Sheamus got it out of those four. So
would it be weird if you went to his house, knocked on his door, and tried to interview him and just ask him what the experience was like?
With Zach,
yeah,
I have a whole. So if he ever listens to this, I have an entire episode worth of info of the long history of the TMNT and professional wrestling. I have an entire show's worth of info to go over. And Zach would be the one to go over with. I mean, he's the biggest TMNT fan that in WWE. So, yeah. So, I don't know. Maybe someday. But let's go on to. Let's talk about it. This is the big news, right? This is basically why I was like, okay, we need to do another show.
Yep.
Big news at the let's see, what was this? The Critics' Choice Awards.
Yep.
The two of the three producers of the last two Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies.
Where's that? What stage you at?
So yeah, you just pulled it up. So here, I'll play it on my audio. So
can you hear it on my audio?
I can barely hear it on yours. Here, I'll play it on mine. Okay, let's
Yep.
So this is so you can guess who's not there is Michael Bay, but
yeah. That's fine.
So let me just play this here.
You guys after?
Jack Ryan season 2 just wrapped, the sequel of A Quiet Place, and we're doing a reboot of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles at Paramount.
Tell me about that. Where's that? What stage you at?
That is looking like production by the end of the year. Yeah.
Did you just give something away?
Maybe.
Oh boy.
It's okay.
No, we knew. We did the preceding two, turtle movies. But I didn't know that we were saying that we're making it. But that's good to know.
It's good to know.
Love
Oh,
it.
you didn't know?
I do.
So cast. Tell me about cast.
Nothing yet. No director.
You can't tell me.
No, we don't have a director yet. So, but we have dates we're trying to hit. That's all.
What is it about the turtles that just keep on going?
I'm going to say something I've never said before, honestly. The thing about the Turtles, it's the same thing about A Quiet Place. It's about a family and being invested in a family.
So wait, you're saying the Mutant Ninja Turtles are just like A Quiet Place?
I say that they are both family stories about the family sticking together and supporting one another.
Okay, that's fair.
So, I mean, besides from the interviewer being kind of smug about TMNT, so there's more to this story.
Whoops.
Yeah, there's more to this story, in that I mean, it had already been on Variety that Paramount was developing a third TMNT back in June. We had mentioned this previously. So, at that time, there was nothing else was known, right? So we just heard from Andrew Form and Brad Fuller. Those were the two of the producers, along with Michael Bay, that were part of Platinum Dunes, right? Platinum Dunes was the company that produced the last two. Since then, Andrew Form and Brad Fuller have separated from Michael Bay to create their own production studio. Okay? And that production studio is the one that made the Quiet Place. I believe that's the one that made the Quiet Place. So, and obviously, did you see A Quiet Place?
No, I haven't watched it.
Fantastic movie.
Yeah. It's no Bird Box. But.
It's just like Bird Box. It's not just like Bird. similar premise. Let's call it similar premise. But yeah, so since then, there's that whole situation. So what I actually reached out to Brad Fuller to ask if, because it hasn't been released yet, this information is, will the new TMNT film be produced under Platinum Dunes or under their newly formed production company that just between the two of them? And that one's called Fully Formed Entertainment. That's what that new company is called. So we don't know yet. I hope that it's under Fully Formed Entertainment. Mm-hmm. I don't even feel like I need to explain why.
No. I think history speaks for itself, so it's fine.
Yes. I think that if you look at a movie like so, in what he said specifically there when he's talking about that, you look at a movie like A Quiet Place and you look at the Turtles and that how it's the situation is that it's about a family. That concept right there that's a very good sign. That at least that these two guys get it.
Yeah, that's something that the new movies lacked. They were missing. That's one of the things that made certain series better than others. That's why the 2K12 series was as good as it was, because there was a genuine family feel. The love of a father and the relationship that they had with Splinter and with each other, it was great. The movie from the 1990s, that movie was phenomenal. The scene where they have to drive out to the country and Leo is watching over Raph, and it's just like that hits home. It hits home, and it you feel it, and you get emotional. Mm-hmm. The last two movies didn't do that.
The campfire with Splinter, come on, that
Oh, what? Yeah. Oh, dude, are you kidding?
Exactly. Anyway.
Yeah.
So,
but the last two movies didn't do that. They didn't do that. It was cheap. And it was rushed, and the focus wasn't on that. The focus was on, I don't even know what, actually.
Right. No, that's true. Yeah, I don't even know what the focus was. I mentioned this to my wife, and that there was going to be another reboot, and she was like, "Oh, another reboot, really? Why is there so many reboots?" I was like, "Actually, with this one, I'm very okay with this being rebooted." And really just kind of starting from scratch, and to see if someone can get it right again, because just like with other versions of TMNT, we've seen that sometimes they get it right, sometimes they don't, and where they've gotten it right in the past, and I'm using they as the just kind of general term I'm just kind of throwing around. Creators have gotten Turtles right in the past. Creators have gotten Turtles wrong in the past. But just because it's been wrong doesn't mean it can't be right again. So
it's amazing that this franchise has the ability to do that. I mean, and in such quick turnaround. Like the last two movies aren't that old.
No,
they're not. They're not that old. And it's being rebooted, and everyone's on board.
Yeah,
because it's a cash cow.
It was two and a half years ago that we got the last film.
Yeah, and it's being rebooted already, and people are already excited for it. We're already talking about it.
Yep. I did reach out to our listeners to ask, what would you like to see in a new TMNT film? Justin says, they'd like to see Leonardo, Raphael, Donatello, and Michelangelo. Our friends over at TMNT Minute say all the good ones end in O. and that they would also like to see music by John Dupre. Yeah, I'd love to have John Dupre back on the. Oh man, yeah. The Sewer Den says a plot. They'd like to see a plot in this one. Yeah, I think that's a that's a good one. Ninjas would be a good start from our friend Sal over at Otero Studios. Moto Voyager says Dark and Gritty, a proper sequel to the 1990 film, or perhaps even more in the same vein as a Netflix Daredevil series. Oh yeah,
sure.
I want depth in the characters and heart and family and anguish and hope. Yes. I
think that's all perfect.
Longtime listener Tim says more of a focus on Splinter and Shredder's history that really drives the story in the same vein that the IDW comics in the 2012 series did. Mark seconds that sentiment with a solid ditto. Tommy Everson says Usagi Yojimbo.
One of my favorite characters. It's just fun. I love Sakai, and I love that comic series and that graphic novel in the series, and it's just great. I love Usagi Yojimbo. So it'd be kind of cool to see Usagi Yojimbo. I feel like that would be more of like a sequel. You know what? Which is sad. Usagi Yojimbo would have been the perfect cast for Turtles 3.
Yeah. So here's Turtles 3. Here's what I think Turtles 3 should have been. Turtles 3 should have been going back in time, finding, and they would run into like the original Foot Clan, and then fighting the original Foot Clan would have been Usagi Yojimbo.
Yeah.
And they would help Usagi Yojimbo fight the original Foot Clan. Yep.
That would have
been it.
Done. Sign me up for that.
Cody Murphy says a logical story, relatable characters, real emotion, like in the live action films. Not a lot to ask for, really. It's true. Willow J says less Michael Bay.
Yep.
Yep. Tiger Claw, longtime listener, says they need to look at the Bumblebee movie. That movie has a lot of heart, and the new TMNT movie should have a lot of heart in it.
Yeah, I haven't seen the new Bumblebee movie. I've heard phenomenal things about it, which is great because that's another franchise that was in dire need of a reboot, and so that's nice to hear. But yeah, I mean, it's like nobody's asking for anything like.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing.
We just want a good movie.
Normal stuff here. Longtime listener DPC says more violence and cheesy one-liners. So anyway, so we gotta have not asking for a lot here. Just
there seems to be like a common trend here. Like it's just a better movie. Like just better movie. Like we want a better movie. We want a movie. I mean, a lot of it was character development, character depth, like heart. I think I heard a couple people said heart. It wasn't people. Look, man, this franchise and the fan base for the Turtles is unlike any other. It's unlike any other. When you have however many thousands of or hundreds of characters in the Marvel and DC universe, and you have obviously your standalone, your primaries, your Supermans, your Batmans, your Flashes, and they all have their own individual storylines and story arcs. But with the Turtles, everything is. And then you have the Avengers where they all kind of group together, or Justice League where they all group together. The Turtles are the Turtles; they're a family. They're not a team up. It's a family.
Yep.
That's how this fan base feels towards this franchise.
Yep.
It's more personal for us than it would be for a Marvel versus Superman, a Marvel versus DC discussion. No, this is it's completely different. With us, it's personal, and it's a slap in the face the last two movies, because we knew, and it felt like there was no question about it, that it was nothing but a cash grab. So that's what we want. We want a movie with emotion that makes sense, not 500, 600-pound turtles that they can't be stealthy if they tried.
Right. Yeah.
Like, we want something. I'm all for doing your own thing. I said that earlier, but let's not get crazy. There's still some key elements, okay? The name of the series, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, those are all things that need to be in the movie.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, come on. But anyway.
I will also send everybody over to an article that's at the filmschoolrejects.com where they go over basically how to make a bodacious Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. And they do also mention the Bumblebee movie and how they took a different approach there. And that's Paramount noticing that change needed to be made. So basically their highlights are keep the budget modest and use practical effects.
Well, practical effects just work better for the Turtles.
Yeah, they do. They do.
I mean, you have Marvel right now where practical effects just wouldn't work for everything because there's so much CG that's necessary. When you have ninjas, practical effects is enough.
I would let's see, going back to probably 2013, 2012, it must have been 2013 when we were talking about the 2014 movie in production. Mm-hmm. We had speculated that what technology they were going to use would be the full body costumes, but with the face replacement technology.
Right.
Like they did with like Davy Jones in the Pirates movie. Mm-hmm. Of course, that's not what actually happened. They had full on like black and white body suits that had all kinds of all the like motion trackers all over them. Right. It'll be interesting to see what they do this time. But I find it. I almost feel like the practical suits, I almost feel like that would be harder for them to adjust to than actually making a story that people really want. Because the way Hollywood is now with CG and everything like that, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that this is something that they will actually do? I mean, it would be nice.
Yeah, I mean, the last Predator movie, they still use practical effects for the Predators. Most of them anyway. So I mean, I think the use of practical versus CGI is although it's not the trend. I think for this it would work better. I don't think here's the thing with at least what I believe in and what versus Hollywood is you don't necessarily have to go with whatever the trend is. Just go with whatever makes the most sense for this particular film. This film, for me, practical effects is going to make most sense for the most part. I'm not saying completely eliminate CG because I think there's benefits to that in certain areas. Even just the face the face replacement, I think would be more than satisfactory. That way. You don't have because I mean the as far as the practical effects, the bodysuits are fine. I think that as far as the faces go, I think that would be a little too cheesy. Even though the 1990s movie still holds up like incredibly well, I think having it be a little bit more realistic, a little bit more fluid, would be a better thing, and that would be what they did with Davy Jones is a perfect example. Yeah. And that can be done, and that can be done well. I think, and I think for depending on what villain they decide to go with, but like Shredder doesn't need to be a practical effect or CG. He's a human.
Yeah. Right.
Like the fact that he was all CG in the last movies is crazy.
Yeah.
But I can understand a CG or a mix of CG practical effect with like a Krang or something like that. I just think I'm not opposed to either or. I just think too much of one shouldn't happen.
Right. Yeah. I think this is one of those situations where the fans, the people that are going to see these movies, like, no one is ever saying, "Man, I really wish they had more CG in this movie." Mm-hmm. Has anyone ever said that? I don't think anyone's ever said that.
No, they say the complete opposite usually.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I hope someone's listening.
But they hear it. That's the frustrating part, is that they hear it. They heard it when they released when the script was leaked last time, and they've heard it after the first movie, but they didn't make any changes. They just completely ignored the fan base and decided, you know what, we're going to do our own thing because people are going to go watch it anyway. And then what happened with the second movie? Not as many people went to go watch that one, and then they're like, maybe we're wrong.
Yeah, they had the bad taste in their mouth from the first one.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on. So they talk about subverting current superhero movie trends, give us some good action, a strong villain, and a focus on crime, focusing on the Turtles. It's weird that they actually have to talk about that. But yes, of course, the 2014 movie being a focus really more on April. Yeah.
Well, Megan Fox. If you want to call her April, you can, I suppose.
So here's what I want to do. I want to ask you, what do you want to see in a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie?
Well,
so you want practical suits? You want it set? Do you want it set in current times, or do you want to do something in the 90s, kind of like the Captain Marvel is doing?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't leave because then that's it's not relatable to kids. And I think that still we can't ignore that. I think that still needs to be a bit of a focus. We have the 90s movies. We don't need another 90s Turtle movie, unless, I guess if they wanted to do like a sequel, like a true sequel, kind of like was mentioned earlier, that's fine. I think set in modern times is perfectly fine. I think more of a fish out of water tale. They fit in too well in the other movies, I think.
Do you want another reboot, like here's another origin story? Or do you want it kind of be like Spider-Man Homecoming, where it's just like, oh yeah, by the way, he's Spider-Man. You already know that. So let's just get the story going.
Right. And I feel like that's probably the way it should be, unless they plan on changing the origin story. I think
even if it's a new Turtles, I feel like that, like, it almost doesn't matter, at this point, well,
unless it's tying into the plot somehow.
Yeah,
it's not really. We got Ninja Turtles. Everybody knows we got Ninja Turtles.
I guess how many times do we need to tell a story about their origin?
But it's a little different with the Turtles as opposed to Spider-Man or Batman or something like that. Spider-Man or Batman, they're just humans, right? So they don't have to go through necessarily the same kind of development that the Turtles do, because the Turtles are mutants. They're visually mutants. They can't change the way they look.
Right.
So people know that Spider-Man's a human. People know that Batman's a human. People know that the Turtles are mutants. I guess we can kind of go with that, but I feel like
yeah. Go ahead.
I feel like maybe just not necessarily like a full on origin story, but maybe just a recap of the past few years, and they can kind of do it within dialogue So they don't have to do a flashback, but they could kind of reference key things that have happened in the past 5 or 10 years since they became, public. I don't know. It's hard. Making a movie, it sounds easy. It's not easy. It's not an easy thing.
What if they had just kind of like during like the intro credits, they just kind of show little, kind of images in the background where you kind of get an idea of like, oh yeah, so turtles, then they got mutated and now they're, mutant turtles, and then they, get taught ninjutsu, and so they learn to be mutant ninja turtles, and then they grow up. And now they're
and then they read a book that teaches them how to be ninjas. Yeah.
There's number one. There's request number one. That should be the request of number one on all of these. Is no books of ninjutsu.
No fucking books of ninjutsu. It's like what movie was that? Bulletproof. No. Yeah, Bulletproof Monk. But no, that's not the way. The Last Dragon. It's like an Enter the Dragon like spoof where the kid just, I don't know. They likes to watch like martial arts movies, and Bulletproof Monk. That was the other one where they just watch martial arts movies. Oh wow, look, I could do martial arts. I just follow their movements. Yeah, I it'd be kind of cool to see kind of a little bit more as far as their early training. So if we're going to do an origin story, maybe this is something that really hasn't been done as far as theatrical release goes, but where they focus a little bit more on their early development leading into so maybe more of like an early Turtles version before they become Teenage Mutant.
Right. Okay. Yeah. That really hasn't been done much at all in any of the
It's just the origin's always been kind of an afterthought.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always like a recap. It's a flashback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be necessarily opposed to a little bit more of an origin going on with the Turtles, and then
a true origin.
Yeah, and then just fast forwarding, I don't know, 5 years or 10 years to now, and who they are now.
What about characters? What kind of characters would you like to see in this? Is April have to be in this? So,
April has always been their tie into the human world.
Yes.
That's their tie into the human world. I don't know that April. It's hard to picture anything with the Turtles without having April and Casey, isn't it? Like, it's so difficult to even begin to think. We can have a different villain. We can not have Shredder, and it'd be okay. We can, but the standard is the four Turtles, Splinter, Casey, April.
Mm-hmm.
We cannot have those.
So Casey's got to be in here too.
Casey has to be in there. I think Casey Jones has to be in there, and he has to be
Casey.
done. He has to be done well. And I think here's what I think though. I feel like they should take a different take on Casey. I feel like Casey.
I'm gonna be a police officer.
What if Casey was their tie-in into the real world, not April?
Mm.
And then April just happens to come into this later on. And basically they switch.
So they already know Casey, and then okay, interesting.
Casey's their bro. Mm-hmm. Casey's their tie-in. Casey's the one. They learn all this pop culture from Casey.
Right. Yeah. Interesting.
And Casey, I like have the kind of the origin of Casey in the movie be the same origin as the IDW series. I like that Casey series. Mm-hmm. That background that Casey has. That would give him more motivation to seek out somebody else, other friends, like people who would understand him, people who are also like rejected in society. And he finds them, and
no. So to pick up what you're talking about here, so I'm going to put the puzzle pieces together. So if they had like a true origin story, like it really shows them coming up, so pre-Shredder, pre-Foot Clan, but you do have the Purple Dragons, and you do have Hun.
Right.
And Hun is Casey's dad.
Yep.
Yeah.
I dig it.
That would be good. That would be solid. And then it ends with, you know, like after, you know, at the very end of the movie, that's when you first get the first like hint of the Foot Clan and Shredder. Is like,
right.
Yeah, that's like the post credits thing, you know.
It leaves you with an Easter egg. Yeah.
That would be legit. Because the first, right? So you go back, Mirage issue 1. Who are they fighting? They're fighting the Purple Dragons.
Right.
So that would be legit. That would be legit. So I can't argue with that. I mean, that would be a legit movie. Now, will they do that? I don't know.
Probably not.
But I think that would be an interesting take.
Hey, we have a lot of very talented individuals that listen to this podcast, or people who are not talented but no talented individuals, or let me say, are less talented but no talented individuals. I would love to see a fan-made movie, at the very least, of everything we just talked about, because I think it's too good not to happen.
Yeah. Like them actually learning ninjutsu, you know. Yeah, that'd be fantastic. You know, having, you know, almost like Rocky-esque.
They're chasing the chicken.
Yeah. You know, montages. Eye of the Tiger montages of them, you know, failing over and over, trying to get that jumping, spinning roundhouse kick just right, you know.
and they all start out wearing red bandanas.
Yes. Oh, yes. There it is.
And then Splinter sorts them based on their signs. So
we brought it. Call back. Oh, that's so fantastic. Oh.
But I think like, and he would find some sort of mystical thing, like, you know, because Leonardo is as calm as the sea, like he would get blue, or you know, Raph because he has a fire inside of him would be red, and Michelangelo because he's wacky and silly and just a goofball, he's orange, and then Donatello because no color really makes sense for science fiction. Here's purple.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna throw out some other ideas.
Okay.
Just off the top of my head. So if they don't make that one, they could do. I could see them. I wouldn't want this, but I could see them doing just like another standard Ninja Turtles movie, like just like you know, 90, just like 2014, just, you know. Well, here we go again. You know, let's just make another one of these.
If they did that, how would you feel? Would you be okay with it? I feel like I might be okay with it.
I might be okay if it's done right.
Well, yeah, right.
But
absolutely.
I would also think that. Okay, I would say if it would be done right, then I would be okay with it, because there would be some sort of promise that there would be follow-ons to that.
Right.
So not to have a feeling of like disappointment because it's not exactly what I was hoping for. Because if it's a good one that's done right and everybody loves, then that means, hey, we'll make some sequels after this one. Right. What about, so thinking of other, you know, other ways we've seen the Turtles. We've seen Turtles in space. We've seen Triceratons. We've seen Utroms. Do they do that? I don't think so.
Well, What about a fast forward? I mean, that's another.
We could do fast forward. Yeah. We could do Turtles in the future.
It's an option. I mean, it's not out of the realm, and
we could do Turtles in Europe, like that one season in the original animated series where they're in Europe for a season. Spider-Man's going to Europe, so he's going to.
Or if they do, I don't know if maybe you were going to the. So I'm right now. This has got me too excited. So I'm just like spitballing as it comes. But if this may have been where you were going, but if they already have it kind of written out for them, but if they pick up the Turtles already developed, just like you said, they're just there. They're people know about them.
Yes.
But they do City Fall.
Yeah. Right.
I mean,
that is an option.
Option.
City Fall is an option. Going back to like something like Secret History of the Foot Clan. Mm-hmm. Going back in time again, but actually doing it that way. Finding, exploring the origins of the Foot Clan and the origins of Shredder. I think those would be great options as well. So, I mean, obviously. There's been plenty of people that have requested just make a movie based on the IDW series. There's been plenty of people that have said that as well. So there's no shortage of options for the writers.
There isn't, but I mean, you can pick pieces from different series for the Turtles because there's so many wonderful options out there. You just have to make sure that you're not just picking pieces randomly. Like they have to go well together.
Yeah.
Like they have to mesh. They have to fit. You can't take 87, Leonardo and then or 87 April and mesh her with 2K12 Casey. Yeah. Aside from just being, statutory rape, it doesn't make sense.
And Leatherhead is now in charge of the Technodrome, which, by the way, is not a giant sphere anymore. It's now in an 87 Dodge Caravan.
And he's a Komodo dragon now.
Yeah, and he's also a Komodo dragon. Yeah.
Right. So it's just, I think they need to take some liberties. I think I would love to see something, obviously, like the comics come to life, but that's never going to happen. So I'd love for them to take, obviously, some liberties, but still stay true to the series. I think what we talked about, what we kind of pieced together in the beginning, honestly, I think what we pieced together is like the best beginning to a Turtle movie since I don't know when. Mm-hmm. Like, if that were to happen, I mean, dude, I'm there. Like, I'm sneaking into premieres if I need to. Like, I'm there. Like, I think we can build on that. And honestly, I don't know. Yeah. Like, we have all the time in the world. Why don't we just write our own script?
Kids like. I think it's safe to say that kids like to see movies where other kids that are either their age or around their age are like the main characters, right? So if you had a Ninja Turtles movie where they are legit like kids, and that's the one thing I don't get about I'm sorry, I'm going back to the current Rise series, is that in that song he just said that that they mutated them 13 years ago. Like they don't act like I think Mikey's supposed to be 13. I think Raph's supposed to be like 15 or something.
Right.
They do not act like 13-year-olds. I don't know. Like
no, I mean, they're not relatable.
So like a legit like kid, like learning, all this stuff, and then you end up getting like, like a young Ernie Reyes Jr. at the end of it. Like, Surf Ninjas, Ernie Reyes Jr.
Surf Ninjas. God, that movie, dude. So I watched Surf Ninjas not too long ago.
Did you?
Yeah.
Nice.
Because I'm a glutton for punishment. I forgot how bad Rob Schneider was in that movie.
Oh. You mean how amazing Rob Schneider is in that movie, right?
You don't really mean that.
No, I don't really mean that.
You can't really
No, my favorite part about that movie is the fact that the little brother is playing a Sega Game Gear that does not have a game in the back of it. The game
also,
is missing.
He uses it to control Leslie Nielsen's I can't remember the name of the villain anymore. But anyway, he's like grabbing his dong and like you remember this, right? Like it is like a full on hard on that he has, and he's like jacking it around. It's the weirdest.
So good.
Weirdest thing ever. But I mean, everything had to be ninja related back in the 90s. But it would be cool. I don't feel like for sure the last two movies paid no respect to anything else that the series has done, that the franchise has done in the past. Like there was obviously some Easter eggs here and there, but they were forced. They weren't. There was. They've said it 1,000. Like even our listeners say it. There was no heart. They were just put there just for the sake of being put there. Like, haha, hey, look, guys, like we paid attention. Like it was too forced. It was just there. But to like, it'd be cool to see like a cameo from like an Ernie Reyes in a new movie, or someone that's related to the series in some way, shape, or form. I couldn't tell you how, but like seeing like like a grown up Kino.
Kino grows up and becomes something.
Anything. I don't know. Make a new character if you want to, but it'd just be fun to see that. Or if Kino plays the new Splinter.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
dude, I follow Ernie. He's still badass, dude. Like,
yeah, and he's had his medical issues.
Yeah,
but he's still like.
He still trains like almost every day. Like it's crazy watching him. Oh man.
Yeah, dude.
So, yeah,
I just feel like we already have a better movie than anything that's come out in the past 4 years. 5 years.
He was like 18, maybe 17 when he was in the original film, the 1990 film, when he was because he was Donatello's stunt double, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Not double, the stunt version of Donnie. Mm-hmm. And then in the 91 film, he was like, because he was born in 72. Mm-hmm. So, man, I mean, he was a legit kid. Like, he was,
Yeah, so, I mean, like, he's a high school kid. He's his age and his, like his just, I mean, because just his experiences in his life right now, I just like feel like he would be like the ideal father figure. And he, like, I just feel like partly because of his build, his size, he just would fit like the perfect Splinter.
Yeah.
But aside from just build and size, like his obviously massive martial arts experience, and that's just his entire family for the most part is just badass when it comes to that. And his history with the Turtles and the tie-in there, and what they would be doing for the fans would just by having him play that role, I think would be phenomenal. And aside from that, I actually think that he would do an amazing job doing it, because every role he's ever been in, even if it's something as silly as Surf Ninjas, he's always been committed to the role. Like those roles were meant to be, they weren't meant to be serious. So it wasn't that it was bad acting. It was just that was the role. Right. But when he's been in other things, like you've seen different glimpses, like when he was in The Rundown and he played that. Oh
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that fight scene in The Rundown when he fights The Rock. Dude.
Yep.
Dude, so good.
Yeah.
He's so badass. So I don't know. I feel like we could talk about this literally for hours.
Yeah,
and
that's
hours.
true. That's true.
And hours. And we can come up with every 20 minutes we can come up with a better scenario that would blow the past two movies away.
Yeah, that's also true. Let's also put it out to our listeners as well. What kind of TMNT movie would you like to see? You can either write us or send us in a recording of yourself, and we'll throw it into the next episode of the Turtle Power Podcast. So with that, let's. I just want to mention a couple of mutated messages here.
Sounds weird when he says it.
Sounds weird when you say it.
Ebert X asked, "Is your guest TMNT Minute on YouTube?" I'm not sure if TMNT Minute is on YouTube or not, but here, let's see. I think I got it open right here. So speaking of TMNT Minute, they actually just started season 2. Season 2 meaning Out of the Ooze. So no, I don't think that TMNT Minute is on. Well, that's actually, yeah, no, they are not on YouTube. So they don't have like an official presence on YouTube. So just check podcast feeds for their show. And then Luis Alan Rizzo, another longtime listener, sent us in a couple of videos. Judith Hogue Q&A from Florida SuperCon, and a interview with Kevin Nash where he talks about playing Super Shredder. And the the not so fun experience he had been doing so.
Judith Hogue still looks so amazing, dude. Oh yeah. Like something about these Turtles actors where they age very well. So absolutely. Well, I mean, we'll see how Megan Fox looks in a couple of years. That's called the original movie actors. Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah. I mean, yeah, because Ernie Ray still looks like he's 16, 15. Yeah. So with that, I don't think we have any new iTunes reviews. So if you have a chance to leave us a review on iTunes, we'd really appreciate it. It helps with our metrics, and we'll mention any new iTunes reviews on our next episode. We'll try to keep these a little bit more often than and more episodes as well. Yeah, I think we're starting to figure out the whole like. Having kids and having lives and everything. Real quick, I just want to say, earlier in this podcast, we were talking about how terrible Florida is about cons and just having. Of course, you have to post the Q&A with Judith Hogue at Florida SuperCon. Well, yeah, it's SuperCon, but that's the one that's down in Fort Lauderdale. I think. Fort Lauderdale, yeah, it's Fort Lauderdale. Still, it's not that big. Super is not a proper moniker, I would say. The Tampa Bay Comic Con is the big one for Florida. It's okay. It's all right. Yeah. No, I didn't say it was big. I said it's the big one for Florida. Yeah. And still relatively small compared to everywhere else. Right, exactly. Yeah. It should be a lot bigger. Definitely should be a lot bigger. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. That's where I think I'm done. Shout out to all of our fellow TMNT podcasters out there. As I just mentioned, TMNT Minute have started up Secret of the Ooze. They did a absolutely fantastic interview with John Dupre. They absolutely nailed it with this interview. Definitely recommend checking that out. And I'm actually going to be on Secret of the Ooze later this season, somewhere around like minute 100 or something. I got to check again, but they're only at like minute 30 now or something like that. So it's going to be a little while still, but really looking forward to doing that. They're doing a fantastic job with season 2. Turtle Soup just finished 1993, and check out episode 189 for a recap on what they've been up to. Turtle Flakes is back from hiatus as well, just like us. They're covering Mirage and IDW comics lately, and plus they just announced a new mini-series called Turtle Tales, which they're going to be covering the tales of the TMNT comics. So excited.
TMNT Der Talk, of course, the biggest Turtles podcast in Germany. They just covered the 2012
the only Turtles podcast in Germany.
It's fantastic. They actually, I mean, he actually does a really good job.
He does. No.
And I well, I know, but I mean, I wish it was more readily available for English, because he does a good job. Because I can look over his show notes, and I translate his show notes. So he just covered the 2012 Nick Turtles episode, Alien Agenda, and also the 2007 TMNT action figure, Dump Jumper, which I didn't even know that was a thing. No recent updates from Turtle Power Pod, not us, the Turtle Power Pod, which actually TMNT Minute got rightfully confused, thinking that they were us. He was trying to get a hold of me and was messaging them. And then nothing from the Ninja Turtle Power Hour lately either. So, but maybe they'll be back soon, just like us. Song of the show is actually, this is interesting. This is a alternate version of Turtle Power, like TURTLE Power. And this was actually in the Out of the Shadows video game menu. And I remember hearing about this a while back. I think it was from an interview that TMNT Minute did with Partners in Crime. And he mentioned that there was an alternate version of Turtle Power in the menu. So I checked it out, and yeah, it is different. So we're going to have that as the song of the show. We always have our thing at the end where it tells you to, check out our website and message us and all that stuff. Wanted to also let you know we're on Stitcher, Google Play Music, and Spotify now as well. So if you find a place that we're not currently found, then let us know, and we'll get on there as well. Alex, this has been fun, man. I definitely look forward to doing more of these in the future. Now that we're starting to figure out this whole dadding thing.
Yeah,
and
I know Darby's going through the same thing.
Well, he's doing this with work thing. Darby was supposed to join us tonight. He actually got called into work. He's doing a good job there at Wesh 2 NBC in Fort Myers, Florida. So he's one of the I don't know, producer. I don't know if he's a producer, but he's working behind the scenes there.
He's the dude that brings coffee over to the producer.
I think originally when he first started, he was kind of doing that, but then he graduated up to some new position, and he likes his new position much better now. So
good.
So yeah, I got to see him over Thanksgiving break, and he's doing really well. So. But yes, we'll get him on the next episode. Hopefully, he doesn't get called into work again. But yeah, we'll definitely be doing this more often. So, Alex, this has been great. I really hope they make the movies that we came up with, and I look forward to talking to you soon, man.
All right, buddy. Later, guys.
Thanks a lot. We'll talk to you next time.
Please, a moment to reflect.
All right, bro.
Oh, there you go.
Do you want to listen to the song?
Yeah, why not?
Right.
I'm looking at the cum jumper. No, dump jumper.
The cum jumper.
I don't remember that from the movie.
No, I don't think it was in there.
Hey guys, make sure to check us out on our official website, www.TurtlePowerPodcast.com.
Also, follow us on Twitter at TMNT Podcast.
You can follow me, Ryan, at FigDonPat.
Follow me, Alex, at arodriguez2005.
Follow me, Darby, at Darby T. Patton.
Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/TurtlePowerPodcast.
Make sure to subscribe on our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/TurtlePowerPodcast.
And also share your feedback with us via old-fashioned email, turtlepowerpodcast@gmail.com.
Subscribe and rate us on iTunes.
And don't forget to subscribe and listen on Stitcher.
This program is powered by Tascam. Tascam's Mini Studio Creator US42 is your new personal production and online broadcast studio featuring a professional quality audio interface and a number of unique real-time effects. The Mini Studio Creator delivers everything you need for your podcast or webcast. Find out more at Tascam.com, part of the Gibson family of brands.